So like a lot of seminars are gonna be like, hey, we're gonna show you all these techniques, and the techniques are really flashy. If you come into my gym and you roll, the thing that you guys are gonna see right away is none of my students, A, roll like me or roll like each other, right? Everyone's jiu-jitsu is different, that's where the art form is. Compared to like baking a cake, right? All the ingredients are gonna be the same, but you get all sorts of different cakes. Jiu-jitsu is like that. So I'm gonna give you a checklist today, and you can play with that checklist any way you want. But in order to do that, we gotta get the terminology together. And so in order to pass guard properly, you have to understand guard. And the quickest, simplest way, because like I'm on a time constraint, right, is to break it down into 3 stages. I really like the way he was moving, so I'm going to use him as an example, right? So if you stand up, please. Yes, sir. So this is what we call stage 1 guard, right? Who wants to take a guess why it's called stage 1? Except Wyatt. No, yeah, you already talked about this. And Jimmy. And hey, my guys are not allowed to talk. Who wants to take a guess why this is a stage 1 guard?
He's not connected.
Yeah, I have no connection, right? No connection at all, right? And he's got the most mobility regardless of the guard that I'm playing, right? Can you go right, left, backward, forward at will, right? Can you circle around me if you wanted to? Absolutely, right? This is, for him, this is his ideal position, right? Now, I like playing X, right? Stand up.
You're okay.
All right, you're perfect. This is what we call stage 2 guard. Why is this a stage 2 guard?
You're connected.
What? I am connected, I have a guard, right? In terms of percentage, right, what would you think the percentage here of him passing or me sweeping or submitting from here is? 50-50, right? Does that make sense? If we back up to stage 1 a little bit, what do you think? What do you think the percentage here is?
80-20.
I would say it's a little higher, right? Because I have to make connections, right? Especially since he's already got these grips, it's a lot worse for me. Does that make sense? So, this is stage 3. Why is that stage 3? Where are his hands? On the ground. What is he worried about?
Getting swept or getting moved, man.
Oh, let's nullify it even more. What are you worried about?
Right now I'm worried about you turning me, taking my back. I'm worried about a lot of stuff.
I would say, like, take your hands out of the way for.
I'm gonna fall on my
he's
face.
gonna fall, right?
I got you. I understand now.
That's what he's worried about, right?
Yeah.
If he takes his hand off the ground, what's gonna happen? He's gonna fucking eat the back. Like, yum, delicious, right? If he's in this position, right, is he worried about passing right now?
No.
No, he's strictly what?
Keeping himself in balance.
It starts with a D. He's strictly on what?
Defense.
Defense, 100%, right? And again, like what's happened in jiu-jitsu, unfortunately, is like he can do some fancy stuff and try to attack. Go for it, like attack me like boom, right?
Yeah, start
attacking, but it's low percentage.
Yeah.
So the way we're gonna deconstruct passing is we always want to get to, I like how Jimmy called it, like a home base. Where, like, what tends to happen right now is like, I'll come in any guard you want, right? He goes into his guard of choice, right? And what you see is like guys are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do like a flip and roll or whatever, and now like I pass the guard or I take it back, and you're like, oh, that looks so cool, right? But realistically, if you're competing or you're going someone that's better than you, it's a very low percentage you're gonna have success. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no, I'm getting like a lot of.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what we're gonna do is, as we talked about, right? This is where I want to be, right? I've got the most mobility, and my percentage of passing is what? Higher. Does that make sense? You see how we're going all the way back here. Why? Because this is the highest percentage. This is where our chances of passing is most likely. So, right? If he starts entering a guard, right? He's at stage 2, right? This is stage 2. He's got a guard in play, right? It's 50-50. Now my percentages are lower, right? What do you think, if he's good, what do you think his top priority is? It's not to submit me. He's going to try to do what? Off balance me, right? And if he starts off balancing me, now my chances of passing are significantly lower. And you know what tends to happen is some guys like let's play a little bit, and I'll go here, right? And I'll be like, oh look, I passed his guard, right? Realistically, it's because he might suck at that position, and I got super fucking lucky. So this is a little drill we're going to separate. What we want to do is as soon as he enters stage 2, and if you roll with me, you'll notice like as soon as you enter stage 2, I'll disengage and I'll play this game, right? And then I'll try to get my passing grips. And if he enters my guard again, I'll stop my pass. And what am I focused on? Getting back to stage 1. So the drill's going to be as follows. Your training partner gets to choose any guard they want. They go to that guard. Go for it. All I'm doing is stepping back, getting in that stage 1 position. That's all I'm doing. Neutralizing, going back to a position which favors me. We're playing percentages. My chances of passing are incredibly high here. What belt are you? Blue, purple?
Brown.
Brown. Shit, I was way off, right? He's a brown belt. And I was watching him. He's really good brown belt, right? Check this out. Right? No hands. I'm going to pass your guard. I want you to try to block, right? What? Why? Because he can't limit my mobility. Right? Now, watch what happens to my mobility. I want you to switch. How much harder is it for me? How much easier is it for you? How much harder is it for you right here?
I feel very much danger. I feel like I have to get in touch. I have to get you before you pass me. If I don't, you're going to pass.
Conceptually, does that make sense to everyone? You see what we're playing with the game. We'll talk about it later after we're done, but this is like, it's not a technical part of jiu-jitsu, it's what we call tactical, strategy. Right, if he puts in a guard, right, now I'm back here. Watch my passing. Give me about 40%, right? If I'm here, he's got a guard. How easily did I pass your guard? Pretty easy. You think I would have the same success if you fully established your guard here?
No.
No, right? We could play here 40%, right? How much harder was that for you? How much harder? So why would I go in and let him establish a guard and try to pass from there? I'm going to reset, come back here, and then pass. Questions? All right. So the drill is as follows. Let's go single leg X. He's going to come back. He's going to push away, back away. Good. Comes back in. I'm going to give him a different guard look. Set. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, get to it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Like jiu-jitsu, for whatever reason, has made the agreement where, like, as a guard player, right, he's going to be allowed to enter his guard, and then, right, and you see it all the time, even at the highest level, and I'm going to be like, all right, cool, now we're going to start playing, which makes no sense, because who does it immediately favor? Him, right? From an 80, if I go here, now it's 80-20 compared to 50-50. And so we have to break that stereotype. Like, nothing in the rule set says that you're required to step in and allow him to set up his guard. Right? At the highest level, their guards are so good, I don't even want them to establish a guard. And this is why some of my blue belts are able to beat black belts, right? Because if the black belts or brown belt can get into his guard, guess what? They're not going into their worst guards, are they? Right? What's your favorite open guard?
Probably butterfly.
Butterfly, right? This is where he wants to go. When you guys are going, it's like, I understand this is his A game because in competition, they're not playing their B or C game, right? But I'm going to come here and play. Right? And yeah, that's exactly what he said. He's like, hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
He don't know me. He don't know my game.
And for whatever reason, like, a lot of guys are like okay with this. Like, it's a tactical mistake, right? You're like, all right, cool. Let's see you play butterfly here.
Wait a minute, no.
You're like,
Come back now. Hold on, wait. That's not my game.
it's not my game, right? You guys understand? So if he enters a guard, right? I'm at stage 2, and I'm always trying to get to stage 1, so he's actually going forward. He's only 1 step away from off-balancing me. Especially with leg locks in the game, if he off-balances you, that heel's exposed, fight's over. And that's literally all he needs. Little off-balance, fight's over, congrats, you lost. Why? Because you wanted to step into their game, and they're not going to go to their B or C guard. Guess what they're going to? Their A guard. So why are you playing their game? Right? Would you bet $10,000 on yourself to beat Michael Jordan in a basketball game?
I'm cheap, so no. I wouldn't do $1, but yeah.
But you see the point. But you're like, hey, hey, I'm gonna play his game, and I'm gonna bet on myself to win. Play what? His game. In the off chance that like your game and his game mesh together, but guess what? You're rolling the dice, right? If I'm like, yeah, I love passing butterfly, fucking great. Now it comes down to who's better, and that's a what? It's a toss-up. It's 50-50. I'm like, all right, cool. This is what I do. I'm like, nah, fuck that. You see, he's got to make contact, right? Now look. Where's the art? How many times have I made black belts look stupid, right? And they're like, well, you want to come into my guard. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to play your game. Why would I play your game? You guys are laughing, but you know how many people they go like, all right, now I shall start my passing. It's like, you've already lost. They're playing their game. My dad told me you never play another man's game. You play your game. Does that make sense? Anytime they have a stage 2, you go to stage 1. Now we're going to create a dilemma, right? Who knows what a dilemma is?
Something you didn't see coming.
Close.
You're in a trap. You're stuck. It's a dilemma. It's a problem. You got to try to solve it.
You can't define dilemma by using the word dilemma. It doesn't work that way. All right. Give me like a more defined definition so you guys understand.
Getting someone to look over here and doing something over here.
So a dilemma is between a tough choice and an even tougher choice. And a good dilemma, right, is between both choices are really good for me and both choices are really bad for him. In order to do that, we're going to define inside and outside passing, right? So inside passing means I'm passing through his legs. He wants to give me a pass. Don't cheat, don't cheat, don't cheat, don't cheat. Of a guard pass, which is an inside pass. Fine. Quiz time.
Knee slice.
Knee cut. Absolutely, right? Boom. Or even boom, right? I have to go between the legs to pass. Outside passing means I'm going around the legs. What's a good guard pass for that?
Double overs.
Double overs, good. What else? Basic one.
Stack pass.
Torion. Jimmy, stop cheating. Yeah.
Toriano.
Torion. The concept stays the same, right? But stack pass, over unders, right? You're going around the legs. Really good choices. Today we're going to focus on how the Toriano and the knee cut creates a dilemma. If I go in for a knee cut, in order for him to defend an inside pass, right? What is he going to have to do? How would you defend this? Yeah, watch his legs, right? Yeah, exactly. Bring him, boom, legs come in. Which leaves them susceptible to an outside pass. One more time, right? How else would he defend it? He can't. He has to bring that knee in and address the elbow. Watch where his legs are. Both his knees are facing the same direction. Outside pass, right? Or, if he defends the outside pass, so I come here, watch. He reaches out for that leg, leaves him open for what? Inside passing, right? If you have an inside pass and he defends it, he's open to a what? And if you go for an outside pass and he defends it, leaves him open to what? Inside pass. Now, I like the Toriano knee cut. Like, that's one of my favorite dilemmas I like to set up, and he has to choose which way do you want to get past. It's going to open up. And we'll talk about, like, well, what if you can't get the dilemma going properly? That's going to be later on in the seminar, right? What's your favorite outside pass?
Probably the back step around.
Back step around. What's your favorite inside pass?
Knee cut.
Knee cut? Connect it. Come show me how you're going to connect it, right? Now we're making connections, right? because he's going to defend the knee cut. Boom, he goes Toriano. Okay, got it. I caught Toriano. All right, you're fine. You're good. You're good. Someone else. Who you like? Over under. What about inside passing? What do you like for the inside pass?
I don't really do inside pass.
You don't do knee cut?
I mean, I do, but I don't look for them.
Okay.
If I do, it's more like a speed slice, like just trying to.
I want you to, the knee cut is actually going to open up your over under.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is go for the knee cut, and then when you defend it, go to your over under.
Yeah.
Right, again, like I'm not teaching techniques, I'm teaching concepts, and how you guys want to play with it is up to you. So now the drill is your partner's going to communicate. You're going to choose an inside pass version, right? An inside pass version could be like alternatively like a leg drag, right? Because I can pass over the legs, right? Or whatever the case may be, or a leg weave, or whatever the case may be, right? And your outside pass, it can be a variation. It could be Toriano, right? It could be over unders, double under. Fuck, you got me confused. I get excited. I get confused. You can go double under pass, right? Stack pass, right? You can connect it any way you want, but what I want you to do now is play with it. Because your jiu-jitsu is not my jiu-jitsu, but the concept is the same. If you're defending an inside pass, an outside pass is available. If he's defending an outside pass, guess what becomes available? Inside pass. Play with it. Figure it out. I'll give you guys some time. We'll have a little conversation and we'll continue. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And he made her like, he asked a really good question. He's like, how are you setting up the knee cut? And me and Leo were talking about this over breakfast today. And so like, I have a background in karate, right? Karate, kickboxing. It's all about angles. And for whatever reason, like jiu-jitsu guys, whether they're doing like takedowns or they're passing guard, they have no concept of angles. Like it's just like straightforward. Like seriously, like watch guys try to do takedowns or pass guard, they're literally just trying to like march forward. You wrestled, right? What's wrestling about? Angles. Guard passing is about angles too, and what a lot of you guys are doing is you guys are trying to reach for the hip like right here, right? And like I can't reach him right here. He can reach me fine, I can't reach him right here. So guess what I'm gonna do? Punch him in the face. I'll punch him in the face, right?
That will get me going.
Depending, MMA, great, fight's over. Jiu-Jitsu, probably get me disqualified, right? So we're cutting angles. All I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my left leg and I'm gonna step, right? If he does nothing, right, I'm passed. And now we're playing chess because I understand what his next move is gonna be. And guess what his next move is gonna be? He's gonna swerve. So look at my angle. Who's in control here? 100%. I got hip, knee, elbows flared out, right? Now I also know his next move after that. If he does nothing, I what? If he extends his leg to defend, oh, bro. Look. Does that make sense? So again, like get used to that habit. Boom. Jiu-jitsu is a lazy man's sport. What does that mean? You want to waste as little energy as possible, right? Some of you guys are waiting for a reaction from him that might never come. If he doesn't give you a reaction, you don't have to stop. So what do I mean by that? Ideally, my favorite kind of guard passing is this. If I can go all the way around, perfect. Right? If you're on the highway, you're not going to get off on the side roads unless there's a what? Car accident, detour, right? I want to ultimately get to his back. That's where I'm trying to go. If he doesn't stop me, why would I alter anything? I won't. Simple concept, right? So now I'm trying to step, he follows, I grab his hip. Perfect knee cutting position. Now he's in that dilemma. I'm giving him a dilemma by stepping. I'm giving another dilemma by what? Knee cutting. Does that make sense? Drill that angle a little bit. You're going to notice how easy it is. What you're also going to notice is a lot of people, if you do it fast enough, you'll pass without even having to do the knee cut. Why? Because you're in stage 1. He's got nothing. I'm going to give him something. I'm going to give him something. I'm greedy. I ain't giving you shit. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because like I tell my guys, and they're like, hey, this is working. And I'm like, all right, cool. Where are my white belts on? Where are my white belts? White belt, white belt, white belt, white belt.
Super white.
Super white, right? So right, I could go hit a flying go-go pata on you, and this tends to happen like on social media a lot and stuff like that. And people are like, oh wow, this like has value, but realistically, it has no value, right? I could literally do whatever I wanted, and people are like, oh, it's fucking awesome. But realistically, like it's not going to work. So I tell my guys, I'm like, yeah, it works at a white belt level. What you're doing right now will work at a white belt level. But guess what? You're going to be, the longest belt you're going to be is what belt? Black. Yeah. I mean, if you're a blue belt, you're going to be like 4 or 5 years. But if you're a black belt, you're going to be a black belt for the rest of your life, which means you're going to be competing against other black belts, right? So I don't care that you're having success against white belts and blue belts. And for the guys who's seen any of my guys compete?
He didn't even raise his hand. He was like, nah.
How do my guys compete? How do my guys compete though?
They're my guys, not his.
What?
Practically the furthest.
How do they do like in competition though?
Very well.
Yeah, they dominate, right? And it's because the standard is like, I don't care that it's working on other white belts in this gym. I don't care that it's working on other blue belts. Can you hit it on me? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then it's not there yet, and you have to work harder. And so a lot of people are like, well, yeah, I'm a brown belt, right? You're a brown belt. Who's brown? Who's purple or higher? Yeah, boom, right? Oh, yeah, cool. It's like you guys are hitting it on the blue belts, and like if you're a white belt, you become a blue belt. Like white belt sucks, blue belt's like the worst belt. Just a heads up, just letting you guys know. Because like blue belt, you're like, oh, I feel like I should be semi-good, and then like everyone else is like turns it up on you, and then the white belts are like, oh, I want to tap a color belt, and I can't tap a purple belt, so you get like the shit sandwich, right? So like as a blue belt, like right, you're our like guinea pigs for our guinea pigs, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna test this out on the blue belts. So when I roll against purple, brown, and black, I can see where I have to improve on, because you're just good enough to where like you actually give me proper reactions. Like my white belts will come up to me and they'll be like, "You want to roll?" And I'll be like, "No, I'm getting ready for competition. You're gonna make me develop bad habits." Or I'll be like, "Yeah, sure, I don't have competition coming up, so we're good." But if I'm in comp mode, they'll tell you, white belt comes up to me, I'm like, "Nah, fuck off. I don't have time for you," right? Because like you're still learning. And so like white and blue, like great, like it will work on you, but will it work on someone that knows what they're doing, right? And that's how you should test yourself. And when you go against someone that knows what they're doing, right? Like I really wish every competition I could just go like knee cut, boom, he blocks it, boom, right, and pass. Like realistically, I'm gonna have to take inch by inch by inch. There's a movie and there's a speech. They're like, in this team, right? We fight. Who knows what speech I'm talking about?
Yeah, what movie is it? It's a football movie.
Yeah, it's a football movie. We fight. Or maybe it's Remember. No.
It's an inch. It's he goes.
Yeah, and you get the Sunday without. Yeah, he goes like, we fight for every single inch.
Here's to being lazy and sitting on the couch watching movies.
And so you're gonna fight for every single inch and like watch the black belts, right? Because you guys are eventually gonna be black belts. That's the level you're gonna compete at. The score is either 2-0, 3-0, right? If there's ever like double digits, it's a massacre, right? And it rarely reaches double digits because once there's a position change, the fight usually ends very quickly. Once a guard pass, take the back, choke, mount, choke, right? It's or submission, like it's very, very quick. It's a game of inches, right? And what a lot of white belts and blue belts are used to is like, oh, I get an easy pass, I'm gonna score that easy 3, right? And they don't get used to grinding out those guard passing. And a lot of guard passing is gonna be a fucking grind. And it's gonna take you 2 or 3 or 4 minutes. And I like to use the example of football. Some white belts and blue belts, hell, some brown belts are trying to like throw a Hail Mary or go long every single time. Sometimes you just have to run the damn ball. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes you just have to improve your position with your dilemmas. And so, so we talked about inside-outside passing, right? And we can alternate it. But another dilemma that I like to create is forcing the half guard, right? Forcing that half guard going chest to chest. Phenomenal, right? You can create it in a matter of ways, right? I could go here, I cut the angle, I go knee cut, right? And as I go Toriano, right? He knows what he's doing. This side doesn't matter. Guess what he's gonna follow me with? This side. Everyone come to this side. The guard pass battle is right here. This space right here. If I could get to this space right here, I've won the guard pass battle. I'm going to pass. So this is the space that I'm trying to win, right? If he's smart, he has this, and he's curled up, right? With the Toriano, as I go, if he does nothing, I'm going to pass. So what is he going to do with this leg? He's going to extend it, right? When he extends it, guess what's exposed now? Curl back up, curl back up, curl back up. It's not exposed. Now watch it, what happens when he extends that leg. What's exposed? Now I'm in half guard. You see how I'm problem solving, right? This is the way I need you guys to think. What's stopping me from going chest to chest? Knee shield, right? Who wants to give me some ways that I could probably get rid of it?
Lift the bottom leg.
I could go cradle pass, good. What else?
Come to the end of the road.
What?
End of the road. Place your arms.
Boom. Yep. Go smash pass. I actually like this, right? There are a magnitude of different ways that you can do it. I'm going to show you a quick dilemma. When I go for the smash pass, he's going to extend this leg away. I'm going to shove it through. Or I'm going to shove it through, right? He's going to tighten down, and now I go here. Now I've created a dilemma. Either way, he can't, similar to the inside-outside passing, you guys can play with that. You guys can go cradle. It doesn't really matter, right? What I understand is, boom, I want to get chest to chest. Now that I've gotten chest to chest, there's a hierarchy of grip positions, right? All of them can be successful, but the lowest one is the lowest percentage, and the one at the top has the highest percentage. There's a total of 5. Just a crossface, right? I don't have the underhook. I can still pass from here. Would you guys disagree with that?
No.
But what?
You said, would we disagree? I said,
No, right? Why? Right? I have control. I can do a cranial shift, right? How do I upgrade this position? Correct. I get the underhook. What's another way that I can upgrade the position? I could go, nope, that's like the king, close.
Put your head on its side.
Yep, head hit, boom, right? I could go double underhooks, underhook, overhook, right? And the king that you ultimately want to get to is double underhook head position. Make sense? So even if you get that butterfly, get that butterfly.
dude, I love the head position because usually if your head is
Oh,
up,
it sucks. I'm like, yeah, go ahead and elevate. I'm not going anywhere. I've got your arms. I'm gonna walk your arms.
I was like, you do whatever you want to do. I'm just chilling. I ain't trying to.
Right? Walk. In position. So, the reason I'm showing you all this is you're not going to always get the double underhook right away. You have to try to upgrade it. Does that make sense? But now we've created a dilemma for him, right? I go knee cut. Great, he blocks it. I go to the Toriano, right? I understand that we can play this game, right? But for whatever reason, maybe I'm having a bad day, maybe I'm having a bad weight cut, whatever the reason, I want to go to half guard and chill. Because half guard is a really good built-in rest position. Who knows what I mean by like a rest position?
Yeah, when you get tired.
You have the illusion that you can rest.
Yes or no? It's like
You can choose rest if you want, you can attack if you want.
correct. If you need a breather, you can take a quick breather before starting the sprint again. You're like, all right, cool. This is a built-in period where I can control him, sap his energy, and regain my health bar. Like we talked about, like video games, right? Like Street Fighter. Like I'm trying to sap his energy bar, and once it hits 0, he's gonna mentally quit. This is a really good position where I can tire him out and regain my health bar. It's like a cheat code. And you need to have those. Some people think like you're gonna go 8 minutes straight. Like, no, you gotta figure out tactically where your built-in rest periods are. Mine are very simple. It's half guard, mount, and close guard. If I'm somehow on bottom, I go to class guard and I regain my strength right there.
Nothing neutral.
Nothing neutral, 100%. I'm in a dominant position at all times. You're like, well, close guard isn't dominant. No, it's 100% dominant.
Bottom mount.
So I go knee cut, right? He blocks. I go Toriano, right? Exposed, chest to chest, right? I landed in a bad position, right? It's not great. I want to upgrade. Fight, double underhooks. This is a really cool trick. Watch my grips. I get an S grip and I put my knuckles on his head. His head is now elevated off what? Off the floor. Good grapplers want to use their heads. Can you use your head now? Try to move here. Try to move. Try to get out. Now try to move. You have to move a lot more. Now it's created some space. The difference between blue, purple, brown, and black. Here, right? Move. Watch, he's gonna elevate, he's gonna create space, now he's stripped away. Take away his head position. No, I pass. Do you see how I'm giving a bad choice after bad choice? Right? All the choices are what? Good for me, bad for him. Questions about that? But quick recap, right? So a couple things that you guys could do is just for like drilling and then rolling, because there are two different kinds of ways to practice. Like you have to get the muscle memory. It's like, I'll be like, hey, you go to like De La Hiva, and I go to like De La Hiva, right? And I'll just neutralize and I'll go into my guard passing position, right? Going back in that stage one, just practicing going to that stage one, so it becomes a habit, right? We'll set up like our like live rolling, and we'll situate it in different situations so the guys like really understand where like we'll be like, all right, cool, we're gonna play pass, sweep, or submit, but the guard passer is starting right here. Guess who's expected to win 90% of the time, right? And if not, then you really have to troubleshoot what you're doing wrong. And then we'll flip it and we'll make it hard, right? So choose, let's go butterfly. Yeah, go butterfly. I'll lay down. And then he's got his grips and my hands are on the ground. Who's at a huge disadvantage? You are. Who's expected to win 90% of the time?
The guy with the smile on his face.
And then from here, right? So like you go live, like right, and I neutralize, right? I'm actually winning. We'll do these drills all the time. And so it helps the guy on bottom because they're picking their guard of choice with the stage 3, and it's helping the guard passer because they're being put in the worst position. And it does two things, right? The guard passer then realizes he should never be in that position, and when they're rolling, they're actively working towards what? Not getting that position. And the guard players realize that they need to get in that position, and they're constantly working to get in that position. When I was getting ready, it was 2021 when I did my run to being the #1 brown belt. We literally did this for 7 months. This is how I rolled. I would step in, I would give them, go to your guard of choice, boom, right? And this is how I would start. And I just did this, and this is how I rolled. This is all I did. And then someone would try to enter a guard. Guess what? I've gotten so good at neutralizing. And then Christian was like, all right, now you can pass. And Leo's like, oh, fuck. Guess what? My guard passing was phenomenal, not because like it was actually phenomenal, but because they couldn't establish a guard. It's very frustrating. It takes time. But like, if you want to compete, that's what it's about. And these are some drills that I like to do, right? And the way like I'll do it is like, people are like, oh, like I want to work at half guard passing. I'll be like, all right, well you could drill half guard passing, you could do situationals. I'm like, or while you're live rolling, are you able to get the half guard passing? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, are you able to get the top half guard? And they're like, no. I'm like, then you shouldn't be drilling half guard passing. What should they be drilling?
Interesting.
How to get the half guard, right?
This is the way.
Like, and it seems like very simple. You guys are laughing about it, but it really is the case. And when you're setting goals, your goal shouldn't be like, hey, on Monday I'm going to drill how to enter half guard. Tuesday I'm going to drill how to enter half guard. Now I know how to do it. So Wednesday I'm going to start half guard passing. It doesn't take that. How long have I been working body locks now? 3 months?
Oh, yeah.
Has it gotten progressively worse for you? IBJJF rules, right? New breed. Most rules. If I go chest to chest, cross face, right? What kind of half guard is that considered?
Flat half.
Flat half. Yeah, dominant half, right?
Yeah.
What is, if I don't pass, what am I getting?
Advantage.
An advantage, right? So it's very important to understand that, especially if the score is tied. I have an advantage, and if I'm actively working to pass, am I going to get called for stalling? No. If he decides to lock this down, I see it a lot, right? And we can talk about this. Like a lot of white belts and blue belts tend to rush things in competition, right? If I'm winning, and I know I'm going to get the advantage, and I know that's going to be the difference, and time is ticking, who's the psychological pressure on? Who has to make a move? Right? What do I have to do?
Continue to dominate.
Continue to do what I'm doing, right? And so like this is very important Because like in other sports, time management is a very, very important thing. How many times have you guys heard of time management in Jiu-Jitsu? You have?
Yeah.
Besides, yeah, good, awesome. But like, that's 1 out of 10 people in the room, right? Most people don't talk about time management. My guys are specifically trained, the competition guys are trained for time management. We literally have a cue which is called shut it down, if it's points, right? What does that mean, right? If I'm up 6-0 and I've just spent 5 minutes and 20 seconds trying to submit you, chances are I'm probably not going to submit you, right? If we look at percentages, right? Like, who watches like ESPN football and they give you like a win percentage, right? Like the probability of winning is like 83, 84. I'm a numbers guy. Chances are you're probably not going to get a submission. Chances are most people are going to do something stupid, which will probably cost you the match. You've already won the match. You're not going to get the submission. What is the smart thing to do in that position? Shut it down. Hold them tight. Take your stalling penalties. Get your hand raised. Go on to the next fight. Because I promise you, no one cares how you won the fight. No one cares how you won the gold medal. At the end of the day, like we were talking about it. Do you know how Andre Galvao won his 2011 ADCC final? No, but you know that he won it, right? No one fucking cares as long as you're winning, right? And this is what we talk about in class, right? Training is for improvement. So when we train, most of my blue belts, white belts, and purple belts have tapped me before. I don't care. Why? Training is for improvement. When I compete, my competitors will tell you that I literally transform. I'm a different person. Competition's for ego. And you know what feeds your ego? Fucking winning. And you know what a loser mindset is? Well, I was going for the sub, therefore I lost. Nah, dude, you signed up for points only. You knew the fucking rules. Shut the fuck up. Like, you lost. Sorry, there are kids here, right? Well, like, that's what it is. Like you signed up for it. Like, how are you gonna make excuses when I was only going for subs and you're going for points? Like, you know what the rule set is. That's like being like, I know I play football, but I'm gonna play basketball, and the reason I lost in basketball is because I play football. But you know what the rule set is, and it's your responsibility to know the rule set as an athlete and play by the rules. We're probably the only sport, like in MMA, if I'm going against a D1 wrestler, you're taught to keep it on the ground, keep it standing and try to knock them out, right? That's tactics, it's not techniques. Jiu-Jitsu is the only sport where like, I'm just gonna sub them, bro. My Jiu-Jitsu is better, bro. And they don't try to play the game. Time management is a very important part of the game. And it plays a very important role. Like we talk about it. We're like, we want to psychologically put pressure on them immediately. Right? This is a great way, right? If me and you are going, right? And I'm just doing this, right? And I'm not getting the passes, right? And we go for 6 minutes. Guess who's getting the call? 100% I'm getting the call, because guess who's pushing the action? Guess who's defensive? Does that make sense? And the way you get that good is by practice. It's very boring. Like this is like literally how like drilling neutralization works. Go to reverse Del Hiva. That's Del Hiva, but that's fine. Right? This is how boring it is. You see how I'm just going back to that stage one? How long did I do that for?
Forever.
Months.
Yeah.
It's boring. Well, like good luck trying to establish a guard. You know what I mean? It takes time, it takes effort, but like this is how you win. You know what most people want to do? Now roll me over. Yeah, and you tap. Yeah, and I'm like, hey, I tapped it. Did you watch me tap him? I tapped him. I'm like, all right, who's next? And then they go home and they're like, hey, I tapped 4 people out tonight, and their jiu-jitsu actually got worse. And so this is what I do. My students are right here. You can call me out like if I'm lying. Leo, what are you working on today?
If it's like, let's say I'm working on X-Bar.
I'd be like, Jimmy, what are you working on today?
Guard pass.
Guard passing. Good. You better not pull a guard, right? Why? Working on guard passing, you pull his guard, that's a lack of discipline. What are you working on today? Give me something.
Guard pass.
Guard passing, right? All right, cool. I don't want to see you on your back. Tyrone, what are you working on? I don't want to see you on your back. Like, you see? And that's how we do practice. And if I see someone, I'm like, hey, dude, you said you were working guard passing. Why are you playing rubber guard? Yeah, because you're undisciplined, that's why.
Nader, wrong person. That's purple guard. I don't do purple guard.
But like that's the culture that we bring in. We're talking about like points and competition setting. You're good, but like that half guard is a really good position. You get there, like you're not forced to pass. Like no one says you have to pass at your own time. If they give you a pass, great. If they don't give you the pass, you're winning the ball. Like you're winning the game. Like how many times do you see NFL teams throw the ball when they're up by 21 points?
Kill that clock, maybe.
Yeah, they kill the clock. And when they kill the clock, the lead tends to get bigger. Why? Because the other team's going to make more mistakes because they're under pressure. There's three kinds of pressure, right? And so there's like the actual physical pressure, which you know it's physical, it's part of jiu-jitsu. And then there's psychological pressure. And that's like the pressure to perform depending on the event. The bigger the event, the more pressure. But then there's scoring pressure, right? If you start losing, you realize that if you do nothing, you're going to lose. But if you do something, like you have to do something. And most of the time, that builds anxiety, right? And they tend to make mistakes because anxiety causes mistakes, right? If he knows I'm up 9-0 and I'm holding that half guard, he's got 40 seconds left, he's desperate at that point. And if he's desperate, he's going to do something which he normally wouldn't do, and my likelihood of catching him is what? Significantly higher. That's part of the game. I'm like, you really want to sub someone, then rack up the score. I can't tell you the number of times where I posted about it. It was semifinals of U.S. National Open. I'd already won gold in my division, and I was looking for double gold, right? Semifinals of Nationals, which is it's a pretty big tournament, right? I got up 14-0. Guy looked at the scoreboard and tapped. Videos on Facebook, right? He just tapped because he knew he wasn't coming back. And you will be surprised by how people mentally break under that scoreboard if you're playing points. If you're playing sub only, guess what? You want to be under me for 6 minutes like that. How are you going to feel after 6 minutes? Exhausted. How much energy am I taking up to keep you pinned like that?
Not very much.
No, not much, right? Am I winning the fight there, right? It just becomes a matter of discipline. Yeah, I'm going to hold him there. All right, cool. You want to give me the pass? Great. If you don't want to give me the pass, that's fine. I'll punish you there. I'll punish you there too. I'm getting the pass one way or the other, and that's like our concept. I'm like, hey, right? I'm not going into that stage 3. And if I get in stage 2, I immediately go to stage 1. Once I'm in stage 1, now I start my passing. Most of the time, at brown and black belt, the battle's going to be going between stage 2 and stage 1, right? And I'm going to win that because I'm on top. Naturally, the referees tend to favor the guy on top because they usually have control. Does that make sense? So unless he's being aggressive with his sweeps and aggressive with his submissions, it's going to go my way, regardless of the rule set. Sorry, I went on a completely different tangent.
No, that's fine.
But you guys understand why, like, when you get in that half guard position, it's a very tight position, it's a very deep position, you're in control there. You have no obligation to move. They're under obligation to move. Does that make sense? There's obviously like a 2% chance that you might be losing in top half guard, but then you just slip your leg through and now you got 7 points, 3 for the pass, 4 for the mouth. So comments, questions, concerns about like the system, the stage 1, the dilemmas that I showed today. If I had more time, we'd go more in depth, right? But like obviously very simple system, but it's a very effective system. For the purple belts and higher, they'll tell you that these are simple, basic white belt moves. Am I wrong? No. So, comments, questions. First about the system, and then I'll take like more broad questions.
I love it. I can't speak for everybody else. Good stuff.
Guy on top usually does get the benefit of the doubt a lot of the time. Closed guard, do you apply a very similar principle? I know you don't want to be there, you're just dying not to get called. This is sometimes you're going to get called in closed guard. What is your general approach to neutralizing it first, and then where you're looking to go?
So where Leo knows anytime someone puts me in close guard, you'll hear me in the gym yell "fuck," because like I messed up. Like closed guard is a bad position for anyone on top. And that like because at brown and black belt, most people have a really, really good closed guard, so it's a bad position. I want you to understand something, so get into my closed guard. And so like traditionally, a lot of people are taught to pass closed guard on their knees, right? And so like I want you to see the strength of my ankles. You see how tight that grip is, right? And so like if you come into it or you try to pass, you're actually strengthening my closed guard. So what you really should do, and people tend to make the mistake, is you need to stand up. And you need to stand up ASAP. But the way you stand up is important. And what I like to do, guys, come to this side so you can see it. And how much do you weigh? 180. So it's very important that one, if possible, you try to trap an arm. Of course, the higher guys aren't going to give you that arm. But your elbows right now are like, you're dead in the water. Like, you know what I mean? Your elbows are in line with my hip and my elbows, correct. Now you're going to step up. Either foot, doesn't matter, but we're going to use this one, right? So your foot right there, there's the mistake that everyone makes. Because now I start to attack. Your foot needs to come right on my hip. Closer, like right here. Put your foot and be on the ball. Now your knee turns into my hip. Now do you see how my guard's already weakening? Now you're not going to stand up in a in a square stance. You're going to do a deadlift and land in a staggered stance.
Kind of staggered.
Boom. Now look at that. You're money. Do it again. And what it is that foot and the knee are applying pressure. Yep. Nope. Your knee's
my
up.
knee flared.
Yep. Your knee. Yep. Now stand up. Your knee's applying pressure on that hip. There you go.
And you pivot the back foot a little
Yep.
bit too. Yeah.
Yep. And boom. Yep. And you want to keep standing. That standing, right? It's going to be. Any form of escaping closed guard is going to be energy inefficient. But it's similar to mounting. If you've been mounted, any form of mount escapes is energy inefficient. You're going to waste a large amount, but you have to keep standing because if you stay there, it's going to be significantly easier. Staggered stance. I like the knee and the foot because it controls his hip, which means he can't. Because I'm not a big leg locker. My leg lock game has been developing, but I would say I'm maybe a blue belt, purple belt in leg locks. Maybe. I know how to defend them properly because that's all some of the fuckers in my gym do, right? But the way you kill that leg lock injury from closed guard is you control that hip. If you control that hip, they can't turn in and grab the leg. Yeah, we're not talking about Leo.
Yeah,
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I appreciate it.
But that works tremendously. It's super effective. Works gi and no gi if you train in the gi. But I would actively work to prevent it, right?
Yeah,
Prevention is obviously not get there, but if you do get there, foot on the hip, stand up. Like Craig Jones just released a new series, and he just says just stand up, and a lot of the stuff he says there is just true. Like that close guard, if you stand up, even if you're carrying them, my close guard is significantly less effective there.
How you would get this entry. So using that same pass you were just hitting, we had this butterfly, and he was passing just like you were doing with the half guard. He was locking up behind me. I was just wondering how you would enter that and pass that, use that same pass to do the same.
From butterfly?
From a single butterfly, yeah.
From here?
Yeah. So if you were coming in doing that same, getting your head in tight, getting your underhooks. So if we're here, just that.
So my passing, so my passing doesn't change, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be a little difficult, right? Depending on what you do with this leg, I'll either go to a tight waist, but most of the time the tight waist is not going to be available. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stand here. I'm just going to disengage and then reset, right? My passing is so effective because I'm going back to that home base, and I would rather pass standing because if you watch the higher level guys, they all pass standing, right? Until they can get past a certain level, right? Because you have that half butterfly, your control isn't there. It's not preventing me. Now I disengage and I play because nothing good is going to happen. If I stay here, right, even with if I can't get that tight waist, push my head away a little bit, and now you're going to close your guard. And fuck no, with your long legs, I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? So it's funny, but a lot of coaches be just stand up. And sometimes standing up and going back, right? If we're actively here and I want you to try to hold me, right? Now look, I'm in my passing sequence. I'm just going back to home base. As a white belt, what tends to happen and why you see like a lot of like white belts quit and leave is because they get frustrated. They think that they're not as good. They think that like they're the only ones that suck and everyone's getting better. And a lot of white belts go through that. So like communication and like talking to your training partners, right? Be like, hey, did you experience this when I was going through that, right? Because it's a process. I mean, like as a white belt, you feel like you don't know anything. And like, no matter how good your coach is or how good the culture is, it still takes time for your skills to develop. So like understand that like you're gonna suck. And like, you're just gonna suck a little less. Like at blue, you suck a little less. At purple, you suck a little less. People think that like brown belts and black belts are like good at jiu-jitsu, but the secret is we just suck a little less than you because like we've been training more. And like some people like and understand, like I talked about, like blue belt's the worst belt, right? Because you feel like you've got some skills and now like the upper belts are shitting on you and white belts want a piece of you, like you got a big target on your back. But purple belt's the same way, but by purple belt, because you know it's coming, you know how to deal with it. But realistically, what tends to happen is people get to blue or purple and then they become complacent and they don't want to get better. They don't want to learn. They don't want to do that. And I'm constantly studying. I'll be like, Leo, hey, look, you stopped me here, so I'll look this up and let's play with this. Let's have some communication. And then if we really need help, like this, like everyone's like, oh, you bring such awesome seminars to your gym. You guys must be so lucky. I'm like, nah, fuck my guys. Who do you think I'm bringing these high-level guys in? For me.
Me.
And guess what? My guys are paid for it. But they are getting better, right? They're investing in themselves. Well, my guys also see, like, if you come to a seminar on my gym, I'm asking the most questions. I'm taking the most notes, right? So, like, as a white belt, like don't get complacent. You can always do better. When you get your blue belt, you can do better. And now that I'm a black belt, I feel like I felt more confident that I knew more as a white belt than I do now. And so like that's the second thing. And then the third thing is like your training partners are not your competition. Your training partners are not your competition. Your training partners are not your competition. Your training partners are your teammates. They're your family, right? Your teammates are there to push you to make you better. Stop comparing yourself to your teammates. That was huge. Because as a white belt blue and purple, and really until I left teams at a brown belt, like we were taught to beat the crap out of each other as teammates. And that's how you knew you were getting better, is because you were beating your teammate. And that's the wrong mindset. Like your teammates are supposed to help you, right? And you're supposed to improve. So you're supposed to get better. And so like that's very important. Like constantly stay hungry, try to improve, and take care of your teammates and stop comparing yourself to your teammates. And that'll make your jiu-jitsu so much better. Unless you're a Leo. I like fucking Leo a lot. Guys, any more questions? I'll wrap this up, guys. So like I'm really thankful to be able to go around and teach. I've got a couple seminars like booked in Ireland and Brazil this year, and like when I first started jiu-jitsu, I never thought that like I'd be teaching jiu-jitsu full time. I thought I'd be in the UFC by now, and like MMA just gets boring with the drama and everything. But I've met some really awesome people. If you're a white belt, like don't undervalue yourself. Don't undervalue where jiu-jitsu can take you. If you put in the work and you're determined enough, you can go very far. And me and Wyatt talk almost like every day. If you're training here, you guys are under a very high level grappler. Wrestled D1, which immediately puts him above 95% of all grapplers, right? And it's hard to wrestle D1. It's probably harder to wrestle D1 than it is to play football D1, just number wise, right? But he's a budding superstar. He's one of those guys that's making waves, and like I'm very excited to see where his career is going to go to. And he hasn't been training jiu-jitsu that long, so like watch him, study him, see what he does, and I'm excited to watch you kick ass when your knees healed up. So thank you for having me here.
Appreciate it.
Good story, man.